Hello, George, and hello to all at the UCSF Health Psychology program. Greetings from Bryan Maguire here in Dublin. I think I may be the only foreign graduate from the UCSF Health Psychology program, certainly the only Irish one. Sorry, Joanne Duffy and others, the only native-born Irish graduate, but it's certainly been a great privilege for me to study with George in UCSF. I still have my copy of the Bible in health psychology, though I have to say that nowadays my career working in the Irish Quality Assurance Agency for Higher Education does not directly involve me in health psychology teaching and research. But then George did say in one of the pieces of advice I remember that you really do need to change post several times during your career. I think he might have meant change university, but I did go through a few universities, but I've now found myself winding up with essentially the accreditation agency for the Irish higher education institutions. As I was thinking on how to acknowledge what George had done for me in my career and for us as graduate students, I went back and found some of the feedback that we had from George, and I found one piece in particular that I think really sums up his philosophy as an educator and certainly some of the best aspects of my experience of working with George Stone. This was from his feedback on one of our very first assignments for him. And it goes as follows. I think you all know that I'm impressed with your motivation, effort, and accomplishments in this course. I think you all deserved A's on your record, and I will report A's to the registrar for all students who have completed their work. This is somewhat irrational, since it defeats the purpose of the grading system. Unfortunately, the uses that people make of the recorded grades are far beyond our control, so I have concluded that the best course for me is to give them only very general information that I stand behind the quality of your work. I do, however, think that you are entitled to much more detailed feedback from the faculty, who are getting to know you fairly well. You will be asking us for letters of recommendation, and we will sometimes be forced to provide rankings of our students. I feel sure that if you continue to work and develop as you have this year, you can all obtain the PhD and secure good jobs as health psychologists. Ultimately, you will be evaluated in your job searches, grant reviews, editorial reviews, and reputation within the profession. At this stage, the faculty is forming impressions about your characteristics that are relevant to these real-world evaluations. I know of no data relative to the accuracy of such impressions. I find there to be pretty good consensus among faculties who have comparable amounts of exposure. I try to give feedback on individual papers regarding fairly specific aspects of the papers. I judge that such a discussion might be I give you subjective estimates of overall relative quality using a 1 to 10 scale. I might do better to use a 1 to 100 scale to reflect the fact that you are all doing well. I am ready to make an appointment with any of you who would like to discuss my overall impressions. I judge that such a discussion might be fairly uncomfortable for both of us, and I'm not sure how valuable it would be for your progress. I would want to base it on a set of attributes that I believe to be germane to professional success in psychology. Brackets. Note that this doesn't speak to success as a person. Close brackets. The list of criteria is on the attached sheet, and I won't read that, but he does give a list of factors that are important in evaluating academic professional promise. And it talks about ideas, generation, writing, problem solving, willingness to share, productivity, ability to accept criticism, and so on. I'm not going to give I don't think I took up that offer of detailed feedback, at least not at that time, though George was always one to give detailed feedback as he saw fit. I do have the summary of the individual handwritten comment that he made on the assignment that I submitted for that piece of that particular course. Typically excellent work, well thought through and digested. Do you think that this would be a market for a slightly expanded version in some, do you think there is a market for a slightly expanded version in some journal, or is the field over-reviewed? The reason I'm quite citing that is not to blow my own trumpet, but simply to say that George was always looking for ways to encourage us to go beyond what we had already demonstrated, to extend ourselves, to press ourselves, and at the same time, as a good mentor, giving us warnings that there are environmental factors as well as individual factors. What I love about that piece I read earlier was that it shows how much George really valued the contact he had with students, really helped us to develop as academics and as psychologists. I wouldn't want to finish my small testimonial to George without saying how much that piece, that parenthetical notion about developing as a person rather than simply as a psychologist, was part of his character and his personality, his view as an educator, but also as a human being. Because in George I found not alone someone who could respond to my intellectual needs, but also someone who was a humanitarian man of action, a man of faith and deep searching for understanding about the meaning of life, who followed philosophical and religious paths and sought every route to understand fully what it was to be human and to share that journey with others. So I'm very grateful to the UCSF Health Psychology program for honouring George in this way on my behalf and on behalf of all of us graduates.